So you may be wondering, what is this thread? What could possibly have caused a reaction where everyone posts the exact same image but with varying levels of JPEG compression? There was an announcement, rollback netcode confirmed. So excited to announce that Granblue Fantasy Versus, the fighting game based on Granblue Fantasy, will have later this year rollback netcode. But it's going to be called something different. It's called Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, which, as I'm understanding, is going to be a new game. So you're going to buy the game again if you want to have these features. And as it says here at the end as well, it's a PS5 game. So it's not probably just an upgrade to the PS4 game. It's going to be released as a separate product. At least that's how I understand it. During this live stream, which is like 10 hours long and went over like 3 days, so it was actually like, I don't know, 30 hours of live streaming, who knows. Anyway, there were a large number of features that were announced. Right at the end, they started showing us the new features. So first of all, we got new actions, new things that can be done in the game, a new stage. There were going to be new characters. They didn't actually show which character is going to be in it. New stories. So it's not just an update to the game. This is like the sequel, I guess. Rollback netcode. That is the one that we were that's the one I was most excited to hear, because we've been going through these live streams time and time again, and everyone gets disappointed when nothing is mentioned about rollback netcode. But lo and behold, this time they did announce it, rollback netcode, and then right after that, they also showed something that I don't think anyone was expecting, crossplay. Now, usually we get these announcements and the game gets rollback netcode if we're lucky, but to get rollback and crossplay, and also just be a brand new release with tons of new features, and apparently, according to this, there's going to be better graphics as well. There's a slide here where you can see they've actually got the graphics to look a little bit closer to the art style that you actually see in Granblue Fantasy, the mobile game, loosening up the black outlines around the character, so it's looking a bit less like Guilty Gear XR'd and looking a little bit more like Granblue Fantasy, the mobile game. It's got a much softer look, and this is a graphical change that will probably only be available in the new version of the game. What happens to the old version of the game, I don't know. Presumably, if you want to play with rollback netcode, you'll have to be on this new game, Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. I don't actually know the details on that. I'm just really excited about getting rollback netcode. There was one more thing that they announced here, and it was kind of strange. It's this mini game, Granblue Legends. So this is this bizarre new extra game that you can play, and I don't know how they're going to implement it. I didn't really watch the whole live stream, but it's not a fighting game. It's like Fall Guys. Basically, from what they've shown, it looks very much like a ton of you are going to start, and you're just going to see how many people make it through the adventure course and get to the end. But I did hear some talk online of people saying, like, maybe, I don't know, if you do a first to 10 and whoever loses has to, I don't know, face off in the Granblue Legends version of the game. Who knows? I think there could be some fun ways to implement this, as opposed to just, I don't want to play the fighting game, I'll just play this other random thing instead. Anyway, it does seem like a good idea to incorporate some degree of battle royale, some kind of game mode that involves a mass number of competitors. Fall Guys, Fortnite, Apex Legends, all of these games are doing a really good job of bringing tons of people in. And fighting games are still stuck in the past where it's like, we can't even have a lobby with more than, I don't know, 8 people in it. So this is definitely a good way to bring a large group of people together to be able to interact with their avatars, and okay, they can't play the one-on-one fighting game with 100 people, but they can still use this game to bring people together, I guess. So there you have it. Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. There's probably other features that I'm missing out on, but really I just wanted to cover this because I enjoy talking about this game when it comes to rollback netcode. And let's talk about why I didn't really continue playing this game. I loved this game when it came out, but as many of you know, it came out in March 2020, which was basically exactly the month and day that the pandemic began. And so I went to one offline event in Tokyo for Granblue Fantasy Versus, and then after that, everything was cancelled. No one could leave their homes. No one could go to any events or anything like that. and it wasn't available in the arcades. So the only place you could realistically play Granblue Fantasy Versus was with people already in your house or online. And for the next 2 years, and even to this day, it still kind of goes like that. You really have to play this game online if you want to play it. So for the past couple of years, the games that I've mostly been sticking with are games that actually have rollback netcode built in. And every single time we had these events, I would kind of pray and hope that Granblue Fantasy Versus was going to get rollback. And as you've seen over here from these smiley faces, what you don't know, maybe, is that every time there was an event and they didn't mention rollback netcode, they had the opposite of this. They had the 3D but frowny face instead. Basically, this is specifically happening to show that now everyone is having the opposite reaction. It's not just a spontaneous, everyone's really happy and putting this face up. It's the opposite to the frowny face that probably all of these exact same people posted all of those events where they didn't announce rollback netcode. Now, if you don't know anything about rollback netcode, I'm not going to explain exactly what it does, but most fighting games up until the past 10 years use something called delay-based netcode. The West started implementing rollback netcode first. Japan tried it every now and then, but only in the past 2-3 years have they really been getting on board and making sure that it's like a priority for their games. And when you play in a game with delay-based netcode, you have to wait until your inputs from your computer get to the computer of the other person. And if they don't arrive, the game will actually just stop. And then it will wait for the input, and then it will start again when the input comes in. Rollback netcode just kind of assumes what input was supposed to be there, and if it's wrong, it will just correct itself, and it won't stop the game at all. If the game didn't know that you were walking from here to here, and then finally the input comes in that apparently, yes, you'd been holding forward that whole time, it will just jump you to where you should be right now. It doesn't go back in time, it just updates the visuals to what they're supposed to be, and it's really smooth, usually when it works well, and now we're going to have it in Granblue Fantasy Versus. And again, you could play Granblue Fantasy Versus, and a lot of people did continue to play it, even though it only had delay-based netcode, but personally, just short on time, trying to run the channel, but also trying to run a stream, and also just trying to run my actual day job and real life. It's like, I don't really have time for the games that don't have rollbacks, since there are so many games that do. But now, Granblue Fantasy Versus has it. There was one other title I was really hoping that would get rollback, and I think of all the big major fighting games that people really had in the spotlight before the pandemic, Under Night In-Birth was the game that I really wanted to see get rollback. But I enjoyed this game, Granblue Fantasy Versus, so much that really, when I saw this announcement, I was like, now that we have Granblue with rollback, do I even really need Under Night with rollback? And that's how excited I am about this release. I think the game is such a cool balance of anime, like characters and sword fighting, but all sword fighting, weapon fighting, but then at the same time, it's still got that jump mechanic of Street Fighter, where instead of air dashing around and flying in the sky, you really do make these committed actions, like you jump and then you just deal with what happens if the opponent anti-airs you out of it. For me, it really felt like, okay, someone has found a way to blend Street Fighter and anime together in a way that we haven't really seen before. And one last thing that I think we should probably mention here is that although most games have been getting free rollback netcode updates, this is a rollback netcode update being released as a new game. Again, I think that's what's going to happen. So there was one tweet, someone said, what if the Dragon Ball rollback update, which has already been announced, what if that comes out as a new title as well? In a way, that could be bad because, it's, again, we have to spend extra money to play the game that we just wanted to play before, but with rollback netcode. But at the same time, it could be a good thing because it's a new, fresh title with money put into it for new features, new story modes, new graphics, all sorts of things. And actually, in a way, might even bring in new players as well. Because a rollback update does often bring an influx of new players in, but nowhere near as many as if a new title was released, like as a brand new game, with a new disc, with a new box, with a new sales push, with the marketing and the box and being put on the shelves in brick and mortar stores. And don't forget, they could sell brand new limited editions as well, and the collector's editions, and I don't know, special extra goods and just events to go along with the release of the new game. There is a lot of momentum that comes with releasing as a new game as opposed to just a rollback update. But anyway, I am super excited. I'm so excited about this because I really felt bad about leaving this game because I never actually disliked the game itself. There were a lot of points where I was like, I wished there were more system mechanics added to the game. I feel like they could have added new system mechanics sooner, but they actually did. I think maybe a year ago or so, they released an update with new system mechanics, and it's like, okay, that's not the update we wanted. We really just wanted rollback netcode, but at the same time, we also do want system mechanics. And so this update where they're just like, there will be new moves, there will be system mechanic updates, there'll be new characters, new story, new graphic updates. It's going to be the whole package. So excited about it. The only reason that I kind of left the game was because, you know, you're limited on time on the number of games that you can play, and it made no sense to be spending my time on a delay-based game when I could be enjoying much smoother experiences in the fighting games that do have rollback netcode. And wow, crossplay between PlayStation and PC, that's going to be also really good. Clearly, they understand the value of bringing together. Maybe they thought it was millions of people who play fighting games, but probably they've now realized it's a much more niche group of people that like fighting games anyway. So splitting them up between platforms, if it's not necessary, like that should at all costs be avoided. Anyway, that's all for today. I've probably missed out some information, and some of that information was probably wrong, but I think the main points are we've got rollback netcode in GB Versus, and I'm so excited. You can tell because I've got plenty of videos on this channel. There's a whole playlist for them. You should definitely check out this video next. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Comment below. Are you excited about rollback netcode and crossplay and the prospect of a new game entirely going on sale and bringing in new players? Let me know. Like the video if you haven't done so already. That's all for today. I'll see you next time.